Hello and welcome to Library Connection. I'm your hostess, Mandy Cantrell. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing two of my favorite people. They're friends of mine. We've been friends at church and through the library also. John and Teresa Offord are joining me today. They are retired teachers from the school systems here in the county. And John and Teresa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Great. I have to tell you before we get started, Teresa, we just appreciate all you do for us at the Comer Library. Being when you taught school, just with grants that we've written, being able to help us know what kids need when they come to the library. So we just appreciate all you've done to help us.
Well, It was my pleasure.
Well, great. Well, we're going to get started. I said both of John and Teresa are retired school teachers, and I just want to find out a little bit more about them and let you get to know them. Well, ladies first, John. We'll go with Teresa. Tell us about yourself, Teresa. Where are you from?
I am from Fort Deposit, Alabama, which is 25 miles, 30 miles south of Montgomery. It's a teeny tiny little town. It's even smaller now than it was when I grew up, and that's where I grew up. I have a sister and a mom and daddy there. My daddy passed away about 10 years ago, but my mother is 86 and she still lives there, so she loves it.
Good. How about you, John? Where are you from?
Well, I'm born and raised in Sylacauga.
Good.
Lived here all my life other than being in the Navy. I was born at Drummond Frazier Hospital, which is Avondale Mills Company Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And I guess I've been blessed from birth in that the attending physician, his last name was St. Peter.
Okay.
And so I grew up in the Mill Village and attended B.B. Comer High School.
Good.
And I have two children from a previous marriage, and I have a sister who still lives here in Sylacauga. Her name is Nell Culberson, and my mother and daddy passed away several years ago. So.
And a granddaughter, Lacey.
And a granddaughter.
Yes. Who's that?
At Troy in
Yes.
nursing
Right,
school.
nursing
Oh,
school.
good for her. Wow. Bless. Say a prayer for her. I know nursing school is very hard. I've heard. Well, John, I'm going to continue with you. You said you graduated from Comer,
Right.
B.B. Comer, and joined the Navy
Well,
or college, or what was?
I went to college first. Went to Jacksonville State, and Vietnam was going on while I was at college, and I had a delayed enlistment in the Navy, and whenever I graduated from college, I went to basic training at Orlando, Florida. And from Orlando, I went to Radio M&A School in Bainbridge, Maryland, where they taught basic communications, maintenance of equipment, all kinds of forms of communication. And from there, I was assigned to the USS Suribachi, which was an ammunition ship out of Mayport, Florida. But before I got there, they changed my orders and sent me to high-speed Morse code school, which is a pretty select assignment in that you had to qualify for a top secret clearance, which kind of helps your resume a little bit.
Oh, yes.
And you had to be capable of copying 30 words a minute on Morse code. And whenever you see some of these old Western movies where the railroad telegrapher is tapping out some Morse code, he's doing about 8 words a minute.
Oh, no.
30 words a minute is pretty quick. And I probably learned more about responsibility and leadership. I grew a lot, and it was gained a lot of confidence in the Navy.
That's great.
And it probably had a little side effect too, in that whenever you're copying Morse code at 30 plus words a minute from a guy on a submarine who may be under distress a little bit, and they amp it up a little bit using a bug where instead of going up and down, whenever you use a bug, it's an electronic telegraph key where you flip it right or left. You flip it right, it sends all dots. You flip it left, it sends all dashes. And if it's an encrypted message, instead of really sending something that sounds like the brown dog did this or something like that, it comes in 5-letter coded group, so you really don't have no context
Yes.
to put it together. So
Oh my goodness.
you really had to pay attention, had to really focus, and because of that, I probably am too focused a little bit sometimes. And I don't do well multitasking. You know, you whenever you're the only one there who might be able to copy that, you have to really focus. So, but I learned a lot, and really it kind of changed my life as far as maturity was concerned.
Oh, I'm sure. And we thank you for your service.
Well,
That's
thank
a
you.
very high pressure job, but somebody has to do it, and I'm glad it was you. Because that is great training too. Great. That's exciting. Well, not exciting as in fun, I'm sure, but just, wow, quite adventurous, I guess. Well, Teresa, tell me about, I know you went to Auburn.
Yes,
We're
War
fellow
Eagle.
Auburn.
Yeah.
Yay. And what from, you
when I graduated from Auburn, I had a degree in secondary social studies. I did not know at the time that every single coach in the state of Alabama had a degree in secondary history, social studies.
Right.
I, had trouble finding a job, and finally I got a job right before school started in Lynette. And they told me, they said, look, we couldn't find a coach, that's what we wanted, so we'll take you. And I said, well, thank you, and I took it because I had to have a job. And I worked there 1 year. And then I worked 2 years as a librarian in Perry, Georgia, library media specialist. It was still librarian then.
Okay.
Because that was the only job, again, I could find, and which was where I was supposed to be all along, was in the library and not in the classroom. So God definitely knows what He's doing when He sends us places. And I wanted to get back to Alabama, and I was working on my master's degree at Auburn. And I saw a job posted for Lyman Ward Military Academy. So I went there and was the librarian there for 3 years, which was the most unique experience of my life.
That's an all-boys school.
All
military.
boys.
How was that?
It was so different. You had 5th graders through 12th graders. If you can imagine sending your 12-year-old child off to boarding school.
Yes.
The military men that were over the military part of the school, I had never been around many military people, so that was a lot for a naive 20
Young one.
something woman to take in. But I made friends there that are my friends to this day. It was a wonderful experience. A little heart-wrenching at some times when, they just wanted to go. Those boys couldn't go home. There were a lot of Latin American students there.
I didn't realize that.
And yes, they would finish school in Central America or Mexico, and then they wanted to go to a military school in the United States, and they would come to Lyman Ward. And so you had to be able to speak English, but some of them weren't the best speakers of English, and so that was fun too. You had to, learn what the cuss words were in Spanish so you could get on to them when they said it. But it was fun. And anyway, while I was in graduate school, I met Joan Miller, who was the librarian at Childsburg High School in graduate school. So she said, now there are 3 jobs available in Talladega County, and so I got the job at Winterboro, and I worked at Winterboro 9 years, and then I worked at B.B. Comer for 21, B.B. Comer High School for 21. So,
And you retired just
in May, yes, May 15. And I had just prayed that God would let me know the right time to do it, because you don't know, you just don't know. And it was the right time, but boy, I missed it. I missed my kids. This senior class was one of my favorites. So anyway, I'm still helping with the academic banquet and things like that, so I get to see them some.
Still in it a little bit, but without
bit.
the same responsibilities.
Yes.
Just maybe more the fun side of it.
Yeah.
That's great,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well, I know things have changed. You said way back when you were still called a librarian, and now it would be a media specialist.
Yeah,
library
because
media
it's more librarian. You tend to think of as more with just books.
Yes,
Media
yes.
specialist, you're working when we started with audio visuals.
Oh, yes.
And now it's more mat books, and all the schools in Talladega County, every child has some sort of computer, a laptop, pads, iPads, something like that. And so it's gone, you know, really a full circle, I guess, or
sure.
and so you had to be able to deal with a lot of things
I'm
in the
sure.
job.
Lots of inventory of things like
Yeah,
that.
that was a factor in my decision to retire. Whereas I think they're wonderful computers and all. They all have their place, but I don't think it should be the end-all be-all of education. So.
Well, the county has done great to, I mean, every school in the county, is that correct, has some kind of device? And I know we see kids coming into the library to use their devices and connect to the Wi-Fi, so it's very exciting. They're getting lots of great experience.
Oh, yes,
I'm glad.
yes.
Of course, they still come to get books, too.
Yes,
That's what we want.
yes, thank goodness.
They do. Now, John, you worked for the county, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
After the Navy?
Yes. I had already graduated from college whenever I went into the Navy. I had a double major in history. I was one of those coaches that Teresa was talking about that took her job.
Oh my, yeah.
But I had a double major in history and physical education, and I went to Winterboro High School, where I coached football, baseball, and basketball.
Oh my goodness.
Eventually, I had a double master's as well, because the State Department would go one way or another back and forth concerning whether they were going to pay you for your master's, depending on what you were teaching.
Yeah.
So if you wasn't teaching in your major, they didn't pay you for your master's. So I primarily taught history, but I also taught health and physical education some also. So I had 2 masters, and later on I got an add-on for principal nursery school through the 12th grade.
Wow.
And I was at Winterboro 12 years. That's where I met Teresa. I fixed her vacuum cleaner one day, and
There's a whole story there.
There's a whole story.
Another show.
But I spent the last 25 years at the central office, where I was the coordinator of secondary education, and also did career and technical education, extracurricular programs, athletics, and I also did counseling, and one time I did testing as well. But
wow. Is there anything you haven't done, from counseling and testing to fixing a vacuum cleaner?
That's right.
That covers the whole spectrum.
He drove a bus some too.
I drove a bus some too, whenever they needed a substitute bus driver, or whenever you were going on athletic trips and things like that. Instead of paying somebody to drive your bus, I was going anyway.
Oh, well,
so
good.
I would often drive the bus to our athletic events, and then get off and start coaching.
Oh my goodness! God bless you for driving a bus.
It can be
that's
tough.
Quite an experience there, I'm sure. So you've done a little bit of everything.
A little bit
That's
of everything,
great,
yeah.
great. Well, we're going to take a quick break and go to a commercial, and hope you'll join us.
In Central Alabama, 9,100 kids face going to bed hungry tonight. Hunger doesn't take a day off. There are kids right here, right now, that don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Alabama Childhood Food Solutions and help put an end to childhood hunger in Central Alabama. Make a difference. Donate today, by mail or online, to help ACFS feed hungry kids. There's no better time to share than now. Their next meal could come from you.
Huddle up and huddle in to the newly renovated, family-friendly, smoke-free Huddle House. Stop by and enjoy our new updated look on Highway 280 in Sylacauga. We have the same great food, and as always, you can enjoy any meal anytime, from breakfast to lunch to dinner, or even a midnight snack. Add one of our signature waffles to your meal for that ultimate dining experience.
Huddle up and huddle in.
That's right, ladies. Freshly remodeled and smoke-free, any meal, anytime. Highway 280 in Sylacauga, it's the Huddle House.
At Marble City Pharmacy, we're more than just a drugstore. Our gift shop boasts some of the most unique treasures you'll find anywhere. Come in and browse the vast selection of jewelry, purses, clothing accessories, and crafts. Let our friendly staff help you find that special card or gift for any occasion. Our dollar wall features selected sale items, and we stock a wide variety of specialty items. And if it is a drugstore you need, Marble City Pharmacy was named the 2015 McKesson National Pharmacy of the Year. Visit us today at Marble City Pharmacy.
Since 1935, the Collins family has been the automobile business in Sylacauga. Bobby and Anderson Collins carry on that tradition today at Stop and Shop Auto Sales. Select from late model cars, trucks, and SUVs. And our vehicles do not go on the lot until they are thoroughly inspected by our experienced mechanics. At Stop and Shop Auto Sales, we offer a 30-day warranty on all our inventory. Family owned and operated for 4 generations. Stop and Shop Auto Sales, 230 West 1st Street in Sylacauga.
Hello and welcome back to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell. I'm talking with John and Teresa Offord. Teresa just retired last year from the Talladega County school system, and John a few years before that, I believe. And they've started to take some trips and enjoy their retirement. And that's kind of what this whole program came from, talking to Teresa, that you said your favorite book was Anne of Green Gables.
Yes.
Tell us, why is that your favorite book?
I'm not sure. Usually my favorite book is the one I'm just reading. But Anne of Green Gables, when I was a child, I got a big golden book or something. My mother got it for me that was Anne of Green Gables, and I loved it. And in the 80s, I watched the movies, loved the movies, and then I got the DVDs of the movies later on, and I kept watching those, and then I started reading the books. Yes. I had never read the unabridged version of the books, but I started and I've read Anne of Green Gables now 3 times.
Okay.
But anyway, I kept telling John, when I retire, we're going to Prince Edward Island, you know, and so our friends, Joan Miller and Steve Miller. Yes. Joan retired the same time I did she was at the librarian at Talladega County Central. And so we all piled up in the car and we drug John and Steve along on our literary vacation.
And you brought some slides for us. So let's just look at those. I think it was a very exciting trip. Tell us about this one.
The beaches on Prince Edward Island have red sand and not the sand that we're used to. And they have a lot of cliffs, some that are gigantic compared to that. But that was on the eastern side of the island, I think. Yes. And it was a little village on the water, and that's where they had the largest oak tree, one of the largest oak trees on Prince Edward Island, in that little town right there. But they have that red sand.
Oh, that's beautiful. Let's go to the next one.
That is the Confederation Bridge that connects Prince Edward Island to New Brunswick, and we drove across that one morning, and it's 8 miles, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
yes, that's right. It goes on and on.
I'm sure New Brunswick is beautiful, but the part of New Brunswick we saw could not compare with Prince Edward Island. It was not nearly as beautiful as Prince Edward Island, but that's what that picture is. And that's the little village where I had, from the first picture, just, you know, it's like you see in movies.
A fishing village, yeah, it does. That's beautiful. Yeah. Okay, let's see next.
And then we saw that purple, they call that a weed, and I think it's pronounced lupin.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful. It was everywhere, and you see the ocean there behind it, because you have just beautiful grass, and then you have the ocean.
Oh my goodness!
And so it's. I've said that God really showed out there. It's probably the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. It's just,
what time of year did you go?
We went in July.
In July, okay. How was the weather? Temperature?
60s. It was overcast most every day, but we wore jackets.
Yeah.
And it was just I don't know how they grow their flowers. Their hostas would be, 4 feet in diameter. It was incredible, incredible.
Okay, let's see the next slide. Oh, pretty.
That's just one of the lighthouses there. John, you want to speak to the lighthouses because you love them so.
Well, we saw so many. I probably don't need to see another lighthouse again, but there were many, many lighthouses, all different sizes, shapes, and so forth.
And a lot of the houses, I won't say most, were made of those shingles that you see on that house right there.
Yes.
They would, as they got older, they weathered, and it was just great. And a lot of houses for sale.
Huh.
And a lot of houses had yellow doors. We didn't know why.
Don't know why.
We stayed in Charlottetown.
Okay.
And this is Victoria Row in Charlottetown, where they have all these restaurants and neat little shops, and they would just block it off in the summertime, and you can walk up and down the street. And there were musicians playing. It was just wonderful. Charlottetown is a great city.
I saw on this slide at the bottom the store is the Anne of Green Gables store.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's
Yes.
the highlight of it.
Yeah, and they have Anne of Green Gables, the musical. We went to that, and they also had Anne and Gilbert. We didn't make it to that, but we did see Anne of Green Gables.
That's another trip then.
Another trip.
Okay, what's next? Oh,
Those are some of the flowers that were at Green Gables.
beautiful,
And-
beautiful.
Yes,
And what's next?
that's Green Gables.
Oh, it's so pretty. Is this someone's home? Is it a
It's a
tourist?
national, I guess, historic site or national park or whatever they call it. It was not actually where Lucy Maud McCain, who wrote Anne of Green Gables, her cousins lived there. But that's the house that was the inspiration for Green Gables. And they have it set up inside like Green Gables with Matthew's room and Marilla's room and Anne's room and things like that. So.
Oh, great. That's beautiful though. And
Now it would be my dream to stay a night there. That is Dalvey by the Sea. It's a hotel now. It was a private residence. A man named McDonald who worked for Standard Oil. He used to take his family to Prince Edward Island for vacations, and he bought 120 acres and built this house in the late 1800s. And so it passed down in his family, and they ran on hard times and the caretaker ended up buying the house for like $485 in back taxes.
Oh my goodness.
And he knew he couldn't do the upkeep on this house, so it went to several other owners, and now it's owned by Prince Edward Island. And people can lease it. The man that owned the hotel where we stayed also has leased this for 23 years. And he can lease it again, but anyway, it's his hotel for now. And that round part right there is the dining room, and that was built in the year 2000. But you can't tell. But it was used in the Anne of Green Gables movie as the White Sands Hotel.
that's beautiful, beautiful. Do we have an? Okay, that's good. Well, that is quite a trip. Now, it's quite a drive to Canada.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
we didn't. We flew.
Oh, okay. I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to drive.
Yeah,
But
we
ahead.
flew from Atlanta to Toronto, and then from Toronto over to Prince Edward Island. And one thing that Teresa, we didn't have a good picture of the, we didn't show a picture of the farmland, which is very beautiful. One thing, two things about farming and so forth, but the Prince Edward Island is the second largest potato producer in North America, and it's an island other than Idaho.
Oh, there it is.
yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's just beautiful, beautiful farmland. And in the town where we stayed, they had a farmer's market. And it's a little different from the farmer's market we're usually used to. Not only did they have farm produce, but they had cooked goods for sale. They also had meat markets and so forth. So it was like a big grocery store kind of, only it was a farmer's market, and it was very, very interesting.
Well, that is a great trip. I know, and I know you and Joan, Teresa, were just beside
Oh
yourselves.
yeah, we had our picture made. They have a little girl that's Anne there, at Green Gables. We had our picture made with her. Yeah, we just had a fit.
Oh, good. Great, great. Well, I know you may have some more trips planned, but you're still busy here in town too. Teresa, I know you and Joan have volunteered at Knollwood Christian School.
Yes, we're trying to organize their library, and it may be 10 years from now when we get through with that. They have a lot of books, and so we try to work about 2 days a week, and so we're really enjoying that.
That is a great help. I mean, you don't think about how much work goes into that. You're looking for AR books, you're trying to catalog them, put them in order so the children can find them. And
check out the books. We're putting them in a database, a little free program. Well, it wasn't free, it was $40.
Yeah, almost free.
Yes, compared to other circulation programs, and so we're putting them in that program. A parent donated a laptop, so we have a computer in there, and so we'll be able to check out books to the children and things like that. So we're really excited about it.
Right. Well, you know, I love Knowood, having taught there, and my girls went there, so I think that is a great help, and a lot of time you and Joan are spending.
Yeah, well, and it's a great little school. The teachers, everybody there is just wonderful. Joyce Lilly does a good job as headmaster, so.
She does.
Mistress.
And now, I know, not just since you retired, but for several years, you've been over our church library or worked there. And
yes,
and
I work there. I have since 2003, I think.
Okay.
But I love that because I didn't have to tell anybody to hush or pull their pants up or tuck in their shirt or fuss. And I've gotten to meet people. In church you sit in the same place. You go to Sunday school.
Yes.
There are a lot of people you don't get to meet, but I've met a lot of people there that I wouldn't know otherwise. And
That's
so
good.
I really enjoy that.
Oh, that is good. And I know you've been in there shelving books and marking books with AR points, which I know from school children, it's very valuable.
Yes.
They come to us to get AR books. They go to their school library. They can get them from the church library.
Yes.
That's a lot of help to children and parents. I know.
Yes.
I know that. And John, I know you're our church moderator. Is that correct?
Right.
From all that, you can multitask maybe with that pretty well. Look at
Well, it's probably more of a focus there. I don't fool around much in being the moderator. We go try to we do our business meeting.
And it is great to know Robert's Rules of Order. Not many people know it, and that's what everybody's supposed to go by.
Right.
So that is a great help. And I know you two are also involved in the Arts Council. You're on the Arts Council board.
Yes.
And we
that's been a lot
appreciate
of fun.
Hadn't it been?
It sure has.
We've got our big event coming up,
Yes.
so we're
Right.
excited. Well, any more trips? Do you have any more trips planned?
Well, we plan in September. We hope to go to Mackinac Island, which is in the upper part of Michigan. There, we'll go to Mackinac City, and then either ride the ferry. Well, that's probably what we'll do is ride the ferry over to Mackinac Island, and that should be very interesting.
We're going to spend one night, because that's all we can afford,
right.
in the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. So
Beautiful,
yay.
beautiful.
You have to dress for dinner. You can't go in your blue jeans. So.
Well, gosh, that sounds nice. That's fun to do sometimes. I can't do that all the time.
Yeah, no, and the other times we're staying at like the Motel 8 or whatever.
So you can have the fun night. Yeah, that's great. Well, that's exciting. So now that you're between volunteering and working at church and doing different things like that, that keeps you pretty busy. I know.
Yes.
Now, I know I forgot to mention when we were talking about you being in the Navy, I wonder if y'all have any plans to go to Key West, or have you spent enough time in Key West?
No. We will probably get down to Key West.
Okay.
That's an interesting little place. I enjoyed being at Key West, and I was telling Teresa, whenever I got to Key West, that's a submarine base, and they had a communication station there, and we ran 4 shifts around the clock, and they decided to close it though while I was down there, and I was only supposed to be there 1 year, but they just kept me down there, and whenever they decided to close it, everybody else kind of just matriculated out, and I was the only one left at one time.
The last
down there,
one there?
working days by myself.
Oh my goodness, to close it out. Great.
Close it out.
Well, our time is almost up. Thank you, John and Teresa, so much for being my guest today, and we appreciate what you do for us at the Comer Library and what you're doing for our community. So hope you'll join us next time on Library Connection.